Sorry you manipulated us? You think by acting all nice, buying us gifts and throwing gifts at us and money at us, you would have the right to come back into my life?
And don't tell me I returned the 5 million.
Including the 5 million.
You must say you work for that
When
money.
I need this money, you understand?
I saw my mother smile. That was so fulfilling. I have never seen her smile like that. I didn't know her largest smile was about to usher in her greatest grief.
Good to have you here.
Thank you so much. It's so good to be here.
Oh my God, and I know you are a very busy woman. Your schedule is always very full.
Yes.
Okay, so tell us a bit about you. Our viewers want to know more about who Bukky Wonda is. So who is Bukky Wonda?
Wow. I don't even know how to answer that.
We want to know more.
Bukky Wonda, she is a powerhouse. She's a powerhouse who is taking up space in the entrepreneurship world and in the filmmaking world.
I love it.
Yes, so I think that's the short answer.
That's the short answer. So tell us all the different hats that you wear currently.
So I'll give you a backstory.
Okay,
so
sure.
I started off as, I'm a filmmaker, but before then it was more like I wanted to just act. Okay. So I went into filmmaking, producing, executive producing, doing the things behind the scene because again I wanted to give myself an opportunity to be in front of the camera, which is what I love to do. In the process, I realized that I don't want to be a broke artist, so I decided that I was going to have a side business that I was going to use to sustain myself as I pursued acting.
Money is important.
Money is very important because I also quit my job prematurely, and as a result, I just had to now, get something going and doing on the side. So I started a business where I was helping people with their applications for admission to Canada, connecting them with an immigration consultant.
Oh, wow.
I was just doing that, and then it began to grow, and I was just like, I can no longer do this as a small thing, and since film was taking so much time to work out, I was just like, okay, you know what, I was going to do the business part of it, and now I now wear the hat of not just being an entrepreneur, but being a boss because I have 12 people that work with me at Shira, and I have also my filmmaking that is also going. We started shooting the pilot for the African Family series last year in Calgary, and that also has is going places now. There's so many things. It's going to still take a while, but there's so many things happening with that. So back to your question, how many hats do I wear? I wear the filmmaking hat. I also wear the entrepreneurship hat.
Wow, I'm blown away. Just like is she talking about one person? You see, that's why I call you Bukky that keeps us wondering, because we don't know what you're going to do next, right? I love it. So how did you really discover those passions? Because I believe that you can't, be putting so much energy into something that is just for money. How did you know that was your passion, like acting, like helping people with immigration, and some of those things? What's your deep passion? I think that's a better question.
I think I would say my deep passion is I want more. Me owning Shira, being a filmmaker, that's how I express myself.
Okay.
That's what I do. But the underlying behind all of this is wanting more for my life. I remember when I was in university and when we were about, I think, 300 level in the third year, everyone was like, oh, all the girls were like, oh, I'm finishing from school, getting married. And I had nothing, there was nothing against that, but I was just like, is that all that there is to life? Like, because none of them were talking about the careers they wanted to do, they wanted the businesses, and for some reason, I didn't know what it was at the time, but there was just something, and I felt awkward or I didn't fit in because I just couldn't see myself just finishing. Maybe. So for me, I was like, I would get married, but there's more to me as a person.
Oh my goodness,
Before I get to that point of saying I wanted to get married. So I couldn't picture myself with any of my friends or the people I knew. And I didn't know any example, but that was where I just knew that there's more to life.
Wow.
And in my pursuit of more is how I've gotten to this point.
Wow, so powerful. Because a lot of us have been like conditioned by the society, right? Just thinking, oh, as a woman, university is even a long thing. Like after university, the next thing is to marry, and then you can start thinking of work. Or as you're working, you're thinking of marriage. But I believe that is societal conditioning, and I really do. I'm one of the people that preach identifying yourself first. Even in marriage, if you haven't identified yourself, you need to identify who you are, because that is when you can bring your whole self and a lot of value even into your marriage. So I really love it. Love it. We need to be preaching this to our girls, that your marriage is not your identity. You need to discover who you are and go all out and become all that God wants for you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I will ask a question that I love to ask my people, and it's based on the Unmask Your Beauty book. So I believe that the journey to becoming and transformation starts with an awakening. There's a point in your life where you will just go like, you know what am I even doing? Like, there's more to life. And I mean, you've mentioned this, but when was that point when you woke up? It's like somebody woke you up, like, Bukky, it's time to deliver your assignment. What have you been doing? So when was that awakening for you?
So I think it was gradual for me. It wasn't just a one time, but I can tell you about the journey that got me to that point where I was just like, this is it. In university, it was there.
Okay.
That longing for more, for other things was right there. But then as I began to go on, I realized also that even though I knew that there was more, there was still that part, like you said, societal conditioning that still made me still afraid. I was afraid that if I became too successful, I would not attract the right man. I would not get married. And as a result of that, I held myself for so long, and I didn't even realize it.
Oh my God, you're shaking some tables here.
I didn't even realize that that conditioning was because there's a way that you can think and you repel success.
Absolutely.
You repel the next level you're supposed to get to, and it was holding me back. I think it was until 2018 that I was just like, Bukky, why are you so afraid? I was so afraid, even though I didn't even get into a relationship. I purposely didn't, because I didn't want that, because I just felt there was a part of me that was missing. And even though I didn't do that, but I was still not moving forward. The marriage, I did not marry. the moving forward, I didn't do it. So it was in 2018, I was just like, Bukky, this has to stop. You have to get yourself together. If you want to pursue your life, pursue it. If I still want to get married, if those things still want to come, then fine. Let them come as part of the package. But pursue your life and what you want relentlessly. I think that was the awakening for me. I would say that moment for me, because I was back in Nigeria. I went to Nigeria for a year, from Canada for a year, for my passion as an actor. And I think it was that period, when you are, just like the way the lockdown has made people reflect, has made people, for me, it was a quiet moment in my life. There was not a lot going on. So I had time to really think, to really ask myself, is this the kind of life that you want? Why are you hiding so much? And honestly, that has changed. And you know, it was a slow process. You know, you come to an awakening, and then there's a whole lot of internal work that you need to do. There's a whole lot of healing that needs to happen, and all of that process. But I think that in 2020, another reawakening, because it keeps happening.
It's iterative.
Yeah.
Like you keep evolving.
You
As long
keep
as you're
evolving.
growing,
Yes.
those stages.
And I decided that, you know what, my business was growing, but there was still a part of me that, you know, I don't want to talk about it too much. I don't want to do. And I was just like, okay, what's wrong with you? And honestly, like I said, by the time I started 2020, we were just myself, my two assistants that I had. But now we're 13 of us on the team.
Wow.
In a year plus, in less, you know, and we're still looking at, you know, who are the strategic people we want to bring. You know, we're able to pay our bills. Yes, we're building on that foundation. So imagine the African family happened, the biggest mobilization of Black talents in Calgary, in Alberta.
Like, I am just in awe. You know why? So I'm gonna grab the Unmask Your Beauty book. You just summarized stage 1 of this book, the awakening. You know, you get into a point in your life where you're reflective. You're like, is this really what I want for my life? There can be more. And you look at the different areas of your life. I'm sure you looked at your relationships, your career, your mind, your soul. You know, you look at the different areas of your life and you're like, what can you do? And I love when you talked about the subconscious conditioning, like all those societal conditioning that are, it's not like somebody called you to tell you. It's just what you've seen around. So we grew up with that mentality. And gradually you started to shed those masks. I call them masks. You got to a point where you're like, I am ready to unmask. Because unmasking is a process. It's not a one-off job.
And it's actually a very painful process.
It is, because there's so many things you have to face, you know, those very difficult truths about yourself. And you need to be ready to move forward. And I love how you started to visualize, and you looked at your life and you're like, okay, I think this is what is holding me back. And you started to visualize. And I also like the point where, you know, you said you started to create. You know, you started to do things, you started to create, and then you went back to reawakening. It's powerful, because that's what I summarized in this book. I said, after awakening, you start to discover yourself. There is no way you will discover yourself and you won't be able to create, like do things that are from your passion. And then you continue on the growth journey by getting reawakened, discovering more of yourself. And that's why it's as if every time you're birthing newer versions of yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. You get better. It's just like wine. You know, wine gets better the older it gets. So as long as you're in that conscious process, you know, it's a like I said, it's a painful process, because you come to this and you're like, this is how I see myself. This is how I think about myself, because you won't even realize how damaging you are to yourself. Because we have this mask of insecurity. For me, that was one thing I fought with for a lot of times, because you're like, I'm not good enough to do this.
Yeah, you don't look like the people producing.
Yeah,
who's gonna look at you?
You know, so
in
in fact, when it's so funny that when Sylvester and we got together and we started doing this, there were people in the city that, you know, they were just so shocked that they stopped talking to me.
Wow.
Because they're like, wow, you're doing something that I wanted to do. There are people that called me that haven't called me in ages.
And you know what? I'll say something to that. So when God is giving people vision, He's not giving only you, but He wants to work with the person that is ready. Yeah. The person. So it's like the parable of the talent. He gives you 5. You turn the 5 into 10. And then
more.
The person he gave 1, it's like you did not do anything. He collected it and gave it to the person that even got more. And that is what happens. God is looking to partner with people that are ready. That if I give this girl this desire, she's gonna co-create with me.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what is happening.
And honestly, people don't even get it, that if you don't use what you have, people look at it and they're just like, okay, you're just strong. I'm like, no. Look, you know, you asked me, you know, I'm just showing up.
Yeah.
That's it. You know, I'm not a natural entrepreneur. I'm not one of the people. If people had said, you know, pick people, you know, the way they say successful people that are likely to succeed in secondary school, I would not have been
likely to succeed. Everybody is likely to succeed.
You know, there's this thing that they say pick top 3, you know, when they do top 3, top 5, top 10. I would not have been one of those people that would have been likely to succeed. You know, so in university, maybe you say, okay, she's a bookworm a little bit, she would be, but it wasn't necessarily about that. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a natural entrepreneur, but I've had to build skills. So when you now discover that this is what I want to do, you know, this is where I am, you know, this is, what do? You start to now find ways to unlearn. The only way to unlearn is to learn. The same way you cannot cast out something without putting something new. You can't start saying that I don't want to feel insecure anymore. I don't want to feel limited anymore. You begin to find things that would empower you. You begin to read books.
Right now. Why? Because I've described the process of unmasking as you moving closer to who you want to become. The process of unmasking is not you just removing the mask from your face. It's not going to go like that. You're struggling with self-sabotage. You're struggling with, you know, limiting beliefs. And you're not just going to stop struggling with it. The way to, you know, unmask those masks is to move closer to who you want to become. Start interacting and engaging your mind with those resources that are going to, you know, change all of those beliefs that you had about yourself. And that's what you just described just now. I love it. So tell me, what work did you do on your mind? Because I believe that the mind is the most powerful tool that we have. If your mind tells you, if you keep, you know, engaging with, you know, people that are low-minded, engaging your mind with, you know, news, bad news, and people that are just saying, oh, things are just not working, and you're not going to move forward, right? So how did you start to engage your mind positively to bring out this outcome? Because James Allen said, as a man thinketh, so is he. Even the Bible says that. As a man thinketh, so is he. So how did you become this woman?
In 2018, one of the things, that scripture, you know, during my meditation, that scripture got broken down for me. As a man thinks, so is he. So your thoughts is as a result of the things. Like when you say things out, it's not just, you know, I can't break, I don't know if I can break it down in this, but your thought process is influenced by so many things. Now, when you're thinking, there's something that fed your thoughts. The words you're saying, we don't realize that the words, we keep saying that, oh, make sure you say, as a man, yes. So even though we say as a man thinks, so does he, but you can change your thoughts by what you say. Because the more you say something, I'll give you a very good example. I think it was in 2016. I had self-esteem issues with my weight at the time. And I realized that, and even when people would say, Bukky, but you're so beautiful, why? But I couldn't say it. And I remembered I was just like, why do I feel this way? I don't want to feel this way. And at the time, I remembered I started, every day I would tell myself, I am beautiful. Oh. I began to tell myself, I didn't even read any book. I didn't know about books so much. I wasn't a book lover or any of those things at the time. But every day, there was this song about God's love. I sang it every day for weeks. Every single day. I would wake up crying and singing it. And after a while, it became a part of me. It became like I couldn't see that. I saw the beauty that I am. I saw, because it was always there. But sometimes
I'm excited.
Life covers our beauty. And I began to sing that song every single day. And it's the same thing. So from that 2018, even on the aspect of this, maybe I didn't necessarily start just reading books, but I became aware. I fought my thoughts. Every time those negative thoughts would come, I fought it. And then I began to work. Like, I started running my business. I started learning. I started building. I started connecting. I made lots of mistakes. I've still made mistakes. I keep making mistakes. But you can't, learn or relearn without making mistakes.
It's feedback. So mistakes are feedback.
I started making mistakes, and then I started listening to empowering messages. I love scripturally inclined, empowering messages. So one of the people, my favorite people, is Cindy Trim. Okay. Cindy Trim is a power teacher from the scriptures. I love Cindy Trim, and that's the person I started listening to. So I remember that at the beginning of 2020, like for 3 months straight, I was listening every night as I'm going to bed. Yeah. When I wake up in the morning, there was messages which was talking about, and she helps to unleash the power, the person in you. Yes. And I just saw how that transformed into how I grew my business, because there was no fear anymore in growing my business, because I don't want to grow a small business. Like when people are like, I don't want people to look for Bukky when they want to interact with my business. I want people to look for Shira. When people are coming, I want to work with Shirahmigration. I don't want you to care who is behind. I want it to be like any other bank. When you go, you're not saying you're looking for the CEO to talk to them.
Because you've instilled the values. Your values are
so for me, based off on that, if I needed to create that, I needed to build a structure. I needed to build a team.
Absolutely.
I needed to, so I didn't do all of this. So these are all the things that begin to come. So, and what I do say also is, as you begin to build yourself, as you begin to build what you want, the ideas on what you need, it's not the same as what you would need. Everybody's journey is different. So when people say, Bukky, you have so much money, you went to get a team, I'm like, no, you don't get it. I have a vision.
There is clarity in motion.
I said,
you need to move, and then you get clear.
So I'm like, I have a vision. Like, I'm going somewhere, and I need this team to get there. So if I need to borrow, if I need to get a loan to help me for this level, I will do it. Because I know where I'm going to. I know the income I want to earn every single month. I know what I want. At the end of last year, we made an audacious goal for the business. I have a business partner now. A business manager. And honestly, she's one of the best things that have happened. Because before, I used to think by myself, but I knew that I needed somebody I could brainstorm with. Not necessarily as a mentor, yes, but also somebody within the business that we're working the business together. She loves the business even more than. And yes, prayer works. This is what prayer does for you. It helps to position these people. But then you now need to open your eyes. Like I was saying, can you see the resources? Because as you're doing all of this work, as you're now getting into your new phase, the next levels of where you want to go is going to be based off on what you can see. Can you see the resources? Can you see the people? Absolutely. Money is very important, but there are people that you need. There are mentors. There are, coaches. If I'm a fan. I prefer mentors to coaches, at least at this stage. And there are also people that are just like, I would say, visionary partners. They may not necessarily be mentors or even people, but some of them may be like your team members. Some of them may just be friends. I'm very strategic about my friendships.
I'm smiling because you've touched all of the questions I want to ask you. Yes, because we need to start seeing people as wealth. A lot of time we think about money as the only resource we need to actualize or to bring our dreams to life, without looking at the people around us and seeing wealth in them. If you understand what I mean. So it takes an eye that sees. It takes an eye that sees to see that this person is a visionary partner and I'm going to partner with this person. And a lot of times, it's not about money. It's not about money. Wow. I love it. So tell us a few things you've created based on your compelling vision.
So I have created Shira.
Tell us about Shira.
Yeah, so Shira, we have, we're an online consulting firm. And we focus on, immigration to Canada, admissions. We have two different arms of the business. We have Shirahmigration, which is a licensed immigration firm, and then we have Shira Tutors, which helps to facilitate people, for those who want to take tutorials, IELTS, the French one, We started that last year, October, but Shirahmigration, we were just doing admissions and referring people, but now we're fully licensed and we do all of that. Like I said, we have a team of 13 people, myself included, who work behind the scene, some, that helps to drive the growth. And the other thing I've created is on the film side is the African Family Series. I've created other things. I've done 2 short films before now. They've gone to festivals, not won an award, but they were nominated for festivals, and one in the US, one in Nigeria. And I've also had a TV series that have been on TV in Nigeria. So a lot of the work I've done before now in the film space, I've been in Nigeria. So my first, and I also made my directorial debut last year.
Wow.
I made my directorial debut.
I love it.
And that was not something, and that's, I would just digress a little bit. This is where, in the process of you doing what you're passionate to do, people are always like, where should I start from? I think that's the biggest question I personally get. Like, you do all of these things, how do you figure out? I'm like, just start from where you are. Like I said, the resources, it gets clearer, and also opportunities open up. You are not good. You can't envisage everything that is going to happen. There is no way. When I planned my year 2020, do you know, I actually told myself that film, because of the fact that film hadn't made me, if anything, that made me a lot of losses, because I was I told myself film was on the back burner. I was going to pick it up maybe in 2024. That was my plan, that I wanted to just build my business. But guess what? In May, Sylvester and we just sat down. I even went because of Shira. I went for something else. He was owing me my videos. I'm like, Sylvester, it's time for you to give me my videos and all of that. And we just started having a conversation. And I knew he was into film. And that was it. We just started having a conversation. Oh, let's do this, let's do that, let's do it. And before you know it, in 3 months we're shooting. Before you know it, it's gone.
So you know what I discovered? I discovered that some goals happen without even setting them. And that's why I tell people, I say, it's more of the posture that you're taking, who you are.
I love that.
Who you are is what matters. Goals are overrated. Goals are overemphasized because a lot of times people focus on goals instead of focusing on growth. When you focus on growth, goals that you did not even set, they're going to happen. I did not set any goal to write this book until middle of last year, and it happened in 3 months. So it is focus on growth beyond goals. It's okay to set goals, so don't get me wrong. It's okay to set goals, but you will even achieve more than the goals. Yes, with your goals.
Don't say, oh, this is the path
It's
that I've
more
decided
about
to
the
go.
growth. Yes.
I mean, I'm going to be on a panelist on Friday. I know probably this will probably be airing already on the February 19th.
Yeah.
And I'll be sitting with ministers, and being on a panelist
Wow.
with ministers in
Wow.
Alberta. I didn't set out to
Didn't
do
think
that,
of
to
that,
achieve
but
that.
it came with the territory. It came with the territory where you are operating at. I love it. I don't want to keep you, but I have one more question for you. So, you've told us all about your journey of growth. Give us some tips on growth. How can we incorporate growth into our daily lives?
So I would say that how can you, so tips on growth, how can you incorporate that into your daily life?
Yeah.
I would say just be aware. First of all, be aware of your mindset. How do you think? So if you say that if you feel stunted, and you just feel like I'm not growing anywhere, I'm not going anywhere, the first thing is you need to do a check. Like why? What's the root cause?
What's the root cause?
Like,
You're
what is
talking my language now.
What's the root cause? Like, why do I feel insecure? Like, what's the root cause?
Deal
Deal with that. The perfect example that I used, that God used to illustrate this to me, was the woman with the issue of blood. He said that when Jesus said, it was from the root. It binded, like it stopped the blood from the root. You need to address the root. The blood will not stop flowing unless you address the root.
Wow.
So you need to go back to, and you need to figure out what caused, like why why am I thinking about myself? Why am I suicidal? Why do I feel like I'm not going anywhere in life? You know, why do you feel you're not good enough? Why do you feel you're not attracting the right people? Why do you feel you're not in the right relationship? You cannot go anywhere unless you identify your truth. Knowing the root cause is identifying your truth. Once you identify that, nobody can use it against you. You yourself, you can't use it against yourself because you now know it. So all you now need to do, okay, fine. I feel like, do you need to, because what that now gives you is, it helps you identify what you need to change. So when you know what your root cause is, it becomes your truth. So okay, this is where I am, but I don't want this truth anymore. I want a different truth.
I want the truth the truth, the identity that God has for me is the truth. And that's what that was exactly what you did when you started confessing, I am beautiful, I am worthy. That is who you are.
So, and you go on from there, and that's how you begin. So once you identify that, you now begin to know, okay, this is what I need to do. And it's baby steps. There's nobody, forget those things. There's no overnight success. Don't let Instagram fool you. Don't let social media fool you. There is no overnight growth. It starts like there's a reason why babies crawl before they walk, and when they walk, they fall, and then they get up. That's the process of life.
Only people can, plug into everything you're saying now, and just soak in all these nuggets of wisdom, because I could have you here all day. Bukky, this is my jam. This is the conversations I live for. I don't have time for small talk. These are the kind of things I love to feed my mind with. I really love that. I love having you on set. And I think you're going to be back, because we're just scratching the surface.
Absolutely.
Like, we need to learn more, please. But I really love it. Thank you for teaching us all the growth tips, teaching us how to unmask and really step into our power. I think a few things I would really, summarize from everything you've done is, find your root cause. What's causing, be aware, awaken when you get to that point where you're like, you're not feeling good enough. You feel, you're feeling somehow, and you feel you should be better. You feel there's more, determine what the root cause of what's holding you back is. When you determine that, whatever you discover about, start to work on yourself. Positive affirmations. Go to the Bible. Go and check what are the qualities of God. That is who you are, because you're a goddess. You are a goddess. If you're a man, you're a god. If you're a goddess, right? We are all gods. So God is a creator. God is worthy, is valuable, is beautiful. That is who you are. Start to embrace, start to soak it in and embrace that identity. And then you start to discover yourself and start to create, start to step into your power. And you need to start. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because there is clarity in motion.
And there was something you mentioned while we were talking, which is also surrounding yourself. You're not strong. You're not an island.
No, you're not.
You can't do it alone. I didn't get into. There's so many other aspects of my story, but people have played a huge role.
Yeah.
Not necessarily because no money involved, but just being there and who they are. It played a huge role in helping me transform, in helping me become better. So surround yourself with the right people. If it's business, get business-minded people, business-minded mentors. Those people who are going somewhere. Just have a chat with them once every month. Brainstorm.
Put yourself out there and see the wealth in people.
Yeah.
I meet people that say, I'm so scared of people, and I'm like, you're scared of people because it's something you're dealing with yourself, right?
Or maybe those people don't even align with you. That's why you're scared of them.
No, people are just have this mindset. It's a mindset too. So you need to break it and start to look for what what's really inside people that you think will fill your own vision. Wow. Thank you very much, Bukky, for coming on this show. I really appreciate you. We can go on and on and on, but I do like to keep the show to 30 minutes, and hopefully we'll have you back. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.